Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. So today we are going to discuss about MAHCET CET. We'll discuss that the examination pattern uh, for the past years and what has been in the recent times. Okay, and uh, we'll discuss that how it is different from other examinations and when can you expect the examination, the top colleges through it, etc. etc. So we'll see things related to the examination. Okay, so if we talk about this examination, Maharashtra CET, it's basically a state-based examination, right? Although it's a state-based examination, okay, and but still, there are some seats reserved for all India candidates as well. All right, so before MNCT, the notification comes and other things, the examination that you should be targeting at this point in time is uh, your testnet, right? So we are bringing up this series for testnet starting from 14th to 23rd of February, daily at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel. So please do subscribe to our channel to attend these sessions on our YouTube channel. Okay, so it will be a series for the next 10 days. That would be a sort of last minute preparation for testnet. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Maharashtra CET. What is Maharashtra CET? Okay, and that how is the examination? Okay, so it is conducted by DT Maharashtra, and if you talk about the number of test takers, it has about uh, like over 1 lakh test takers. So it is not a small examination. If you talk after CAT, maybe this might be the second biggest or almost equal to ZAT, because ZAT is also written by around 1 lakh people. It has even more number of test takers. Okay, and there are several institutes, 200 plus institutes under DTE, and that accept your CET scores. Okay, and if you talk about top colleges, we'll discuss the top colleges as well, like JBIMS, Sydenham, then you have Wellinger, Pumba, and these are some five, six decent colleges that have altogether about 1,000 seats. Okay, so most like if you are targeting some top colleges, these are among the top ones that you can get through this examination. There are many other colleges as well. Okay. But one interesting thing that you must know about the examination is that only 15% seats are for other state candidates and 85% seats for Maharashtra state candidates. So it's a state-based examination. 85% seats for Maharashtra, but 15% they give for other examinations. Okay. So like this 15% seats, so it makes this examination, let us say if you're targeting JBIMS, okay, JBIMS has 120 seats. So for other Maharashtra states, it has just 18 seats. Okay. And that too also this 18 it accepts through CAT, CMAT, MHCT and MAT. Okay. So through CAT hardly anyone goes, because if a person gets a very high percentile, uh, they generally would go to IIMs or FMS or others. They won't go to JBIMS, right? So apart from all these examinations, you can consider that like around 5 to 7 people from each of these examinations are considered. Maybe in MAT they might, that number might be less. CMAT and Maharashtra CT, so top 5 7 under the OMS category, then you get this institute. Okay, so really difficult to get into this institute if you are a non-Maharashtrian. But yes, hope is always there, right? If you are among the best, why can't you get into this? Okay, and there are other institutes also that we will talk about. Now, eligibility criteria is you need to be a graduate with minimum 50%, and there is no limit on number of attempts or age of candidate. Anyone could write it. Okay, just that you have to have graduation degree. Okay. Now, this is the pattern that used to be for the examination till 2020. Okay, so this year the pattern changed drastically. So if you talk about the examination, it has 200 questions and to be done in 2.5 hours. That is 150 minutes. Earlier, the examination used to have four separate sections, right? Logical reasoning, abstract reasoning, uh, then quantitative aptitude, and verbal ability, reading comprehension, right? So the number of questions 200 was split as 75 questions in logical reasoning, abstract reasoning 25, quantitative aptitude 50, and verbal ability 50. But there was no sectional timing, no sectional cutoff and all. It was just the distribution, and all sections used to appear together. Let's say if you're solving logical reasoning, all 75 questions will be of logical reasoning. Then it would be like section 2, like you have in CAT or other examinations, you have section wise questions, although there was no sectional timing and there was no sectional cutoff. Okay, and there is no negative marking also in this examination. So it's basically a speed based test, right? You have to attempt 200 questions in just 150 minutes. Now in 2021, they changed the pattern. Due to pandemic, the examination was held quite late. Acha, so the normally the examination used to be held in March till 2020. I remember in 2020 it was just before your COVID-19, right? The COVID-19 lockdown started somewhere in towards the third week of March. It was held in mid-March that year, 14th of March. Okay, so till 2020 it used to be in March. In 2021 it was held in September 16 to 18, delayed very long. In 2022 it is expected, let's say, uh, we are expecting somewhere in April, May it should be held. If things go smooth, if everything is fine, you can expect in April, May. A notification might come in March. Okay, that is the expectations, right? You cannot predict things, right? It's just speculations that it should be held normally. Slight delay, not in March because of that last year's admission. It was highly delayed. Like September was the date of the examination. So obviously everything has been on delay. So we can expect like somewhere in April or May the examination should be held so that it comes to the normal track. Okay. Now in 2021, what they did was they combined the paper, right? Earlier also till 2014, 2014 or 15, they used to have this kind of paper wherein this was an assorted paper, like 200 questions. First question could be of logical reasoning, second could be of quant, third could be of English, fourth could be of quant, fifth of abstract reasoning, and so on, right? So assorted paper of 200 questions, no section wise bifurcation like logical reasoning. I told you 75, 25, 50, 50, nothing like that. Now the interesting part was it was held in 6 slots, and all 6 slots had a different pattern. Okay, like one of the slots had approximately 85 questions on quant in one of the slots. Okay, another slot had, let's say, like some slot had 50 questions in logical reasoning, some might have 70, right? So this also ranged from, let's say, 60 to 85, somewhere it was 60 also, right? Somewhere 50, 60. Abstract reasoning was hardly present there. Okay, so abstract reasoning reduced to like 5 to 10, 15 questions, at max 20. None of the slots had much questions, right? Then same for all sections. So it was a highly I would say that random paper. Okay, all the normalization took place, but not sure that how satisfied are people with the normalization. Okay, but they did normalize the scores. But yes, normalization, if it is done mathematically, that you compare the top score, the top few percentiles, and then I mean, if you sort it that way normalization helps. So normalization was there. They did not reveal the scores. Earlier they used to reveal the scores also. This time no score was given, only percentile was given. Okay, so this time it had 150 minutes, MCQs, the normal thing, 5 option questions, assorted paper, mix of questions, then uneven section wise distribution across slots. As I already told you that some slots had more questions of one type than the other, etc. Some slots even had a few irrelevant questions, right? And then petition were filed for that. Okay, maybe they corrected that, or they must have taken some action on that, because some questions of higher calculus was asked, some general awareness questions were also there. Right? So some irrelevant questions. This happened in 1 or 2 slots. I hope that was corrected because there was no at that time there was a lot of rage among the aspirants that this happened in the CS examination, but later on uh, it was all right. Okay, so this was the thing in 2021. Now, what are the topics that you must prepare for this examination? Right. So, considering that they come back to the normal format, or if they have approximately 50 questions, you generally get 2 to 3 RC passages. Right. So, you can expect around 15 questions from RCs. Okay, and RCs will have normal, like it would be a generic. It will not have very difficult RCs. The level of RCs I would rate is moderate, not like CAT, wherein you have very different difficult questions, very abstract topics. You will generally get topics on economy, business, right, or some current affairs related to those things. So you get moderate RCs, or other topics include like some theme of they give you some passage and some theme. You have to find out that word rearrangement. So they give a sentence in which 4 words are underlined, and you have to find the correct order of those words. Then error spotting, match the columns, right? So half sentence given on one side, half on the other side. You have to match the column to make the complete sentence. Then para jumbles. Okay, para jumbles, they give you sentences and then you have to arrange the order. Okay, sentence fillers, fill in the blanks that you call. Then spelling mistake based questions that were asked last time. It was not asked earlier, but last year they asked questions on spelling mistakes also. Which of the following words is spelled correctly or incorrectly? Then vocabulary based questions. Okay, synonyms, antonyms. So these are the topics that one must prepare uh, for VARC section. Now coming to the logical reasoning section. Okay, closed test. Yes, closed test is also asked. Last year it was not present in the previous year as well. But yes, you can say that closed test is also one of the topics that you can prepare for. Okay. Level of difficulty, it is see generally like if you talk about the typical, last year the paper was very easy. If you talk about the typical difficulty level, verbal quant is moderate, reasoning is difficult. Okay, so you can call it it's more of a speed based test, right? See, there will be difficult questions, there will be easy questions also. It is about picking the right questions and doing it. Okay, it's a moderately difficult examination, not easy. Neither I would say that it's a very difficult one. Last year it was for sure easy, but before that it used to be a moderate one. In logical reasoning, you have individual as well as group questions. So what are the group questions that you get? Puzzles, right? Earlier it used to be heavily loaded with puzzles. Last year the number of puzzles also reduced. Like till 2020, it had up to 40 questions out of 75 on puzzles. Last year the number was slightly less, like 25 to 30 questions, or there were 4 to 5 sets only. Earlier they used to have 7 puzzles. Now the puzzles are in seating arrangement, that could be linear, circular, floor-based puzzles, grid-based puzzles like a matrix, rows and columns, you fill information in that. Order and ranking-based puzzles, you compare the height, weight, age, different parameters of people. Blood relation-based problems. Okay. Now, what are the other topics that are asked in this? Like coding, decoding. Okay, so that could be some, they give you some words and some codes. Based on that, you have to do that. Okay, inequalities, that these symbols being used on alphabets, direction sense, syllogisms, data sufficiency, critical reasoning, clocks and calendars. Last year there were questions on clocks and calendars also. Data comparison is in quant, not in logical reasoning. Okay. CMAT, Maharashtra, CET, no, I would not say same, because there are certain questions which are not asked in CMAT. Like you won't get these many puzzles. You will hardly get a few puzzles. Even some kind of questions, like CMAT will have fewer questions. It has more questions. Some topics which are higher in number. Let's say data sufficiency. If you get, you might get 4 or 5 questions. but in CMAT you will hardly get a question on that. Okay, CMAT you don't get too many group questions. Here you will have a good number of group questions. Okay. Will this year, let's hope that it gets to the normal format. Okay, but even though it was uneven format, the paper was easy, and they did the normalization part, which later proved to be a good thing. That's why there was no rage afterwards. Initially, when the paper happened, people were against them that this has happened, uneven paper. But after the results were announced, I did not hear any complaint from aspirants. Okay. So now if we talk about the quant and data interpretation, and there are 2 to 3 DI sets. In fact, last year that was very uneven, right? Some had even like 4 DI sets, some had just 1 DI sets. Okay, so that was very uneven last year. Generally, you get two or three, mostly 3 DI sets out of 50 questions. So around 15 questions on data interpretation. Okay, now then there are word problems on arithmetic. By arithmetic, I mean that arithmetic plus you can call mensuration as well. Some questions on mensuration, area, volume, etc. You do not get questions on algebra, like they won't ask you questions on quadratic equation. Now that is plus something on PNC and probability. Okay, but you do not get questions on like core geometry. They won't ask you midpoint theorem in triangles or those kind of things. Neither they ask questions on number system. They won't ask you last digit, right? So arithmetic, generally you know the topics of arithmetic, right? Percentages, ratios, averages, time, speed, distance, time and work, mixture, allegation, simple interest, compound interest. So all those topics from arithmetic. Permutation combination probability, 1 or 2 questions from these topics. Some questions on mensuration, maybe one question on, let's say, surface area of cylinder or those kind of questions. Okay, so that is some word problems. And then there are some other types also, which is quantity comparison. They will give you two statements, statement 1 and statement 2. It will have some mathematical quantity. Let us say it will ask you that it gives you some profit loss and ask you a question that what is the cost price. Second is like simple interest, compound interest. It asks you what will be the compound interest. Now you will get some values x and y. You have to compare those values. Okay. Then you have number series based questions, which is prominent in this. You generally get like 4 to 5 questions at least from number series. Then quadratic equation based questions, in which you have to compare the roots. You have to solve those quadratic equations to find the roots of the equations and then compare this. Which one is higher? X is greater or Y is greater? Then approximation based questions. Again, a very simple question. You get some 4 or 5 questions, or like let's say 5 or 6 questions from this topic as well. So this constitute your quant section, right? Now this examination, if we talk about this examination, it is similar on lines of banking examination. Now the next section is abstract reasoning, which is a unique section, okay, which is not present in any other examination. It is unique in this, and you get a good number of questions. Earlier there used to be 25 questions, but last year there were fewer questions. Now what are the type of questions? They give you some similar relation figures, completing the series, and these are like, it is also called visual or non-verbal. Sometimes you search for abstract reasoning, you do not find any questions, right? Search for non-verbal reasoning or visual reasoning. That is also other term for that. Right, now in this case you have series, analogies, mirror and water images, figure counting. Last year they asked, after so many years they asked questions on this, like count the number of triangles in the given image. Okay, then you have paper folding and unfolding, that like if you fold a paper and cut, paper cutting, paper unfolding. Apart from that, there is that dice based question, like cubes and dice, which face will be opposite, etc, etc. Okay, so that's about this abstract reasoning section. Okay, level of DI, it used to be moderate. uh, Generally it is moderate in nature. In quant, if we talk about the number series, approximation, quadratic, these are some easy questions. DI is moderate. Then you have some, let's say, 3 sets one might be moderate, one might be like two might be moderate, one easy or like very pattern. But generally, it's not very difficult. Not like CAT that you have logical DI. Some questions might be calculation intensive. It is about you to pick that whether you want to attempt that or not. And some will be easy as well. Okay. See, it's about like, see, there is no sectional timing. You can start with any section, whichever is your comfortable section. Okay, now if we talk about this, that abstract reasoning is a section which is unique. Let's say that this year the pattern resolves to its normal nature, then then it is a good section to target because 25 questions, right? If you do not pay attention to this, maybe you might find it challenging. Then many questions on bank exam pattern. As I said that it is like earlier it was conducted by IBPS, right? Now it was not. Last year it wasn't. That's why there was a change in pattern. But let us see that how do they come up this time. But there were a lot of questions on that pattern again. Quadratic equation based questions, quantity comparison, number series, inequalities, data sufficiency, word rearrangement, match the columns. All these are bank exam patterns, right? So you can go through like SBI or IBPS examinations, right? You can, or if you want to like see what kind of questions you can expect, you can do clerk main level or PO prelims level. PO main is quite difficult. PO prelims, clerk means if you do those level of puzzles, those kind of questions, right? You get an idea that this is what can be tested in Maharashtra CT. So do practice those things as well. Okay. Reasoning puzzles used to be lengthy and time consuming. Okay, sometimes they were like seating arrangement with blood relations, lengthy puzzles. So it was about picking the right set of questions, right? And then there is no negative marking in this examination, which is an advantage that you can blindly mark the flukes in the last 5 minutes. That maybe depending on your luck, you get some marks on that. Okay. Now the top colleges, some of the top colleges, let's see, right? So these are the all India cutoffs, like OMS cutoffs. So JBMS Mumbai is the top college through this, right? One of the best, I would say that one of the colleges that comes in under top 20. 99.99 in the worst case, let us say a person, someone does not accept the offer, right? People, it might slide to 99.98. Okay, so that is the cutoff level. Then Sidnam you have that is 99.96 for outside Maharashtra. As a JBIMS for Maharashtra candidates also it closes at around 99.92 for Maharashtra general candidates. Okay, so you can imagine that getting to into this institution is really difficult, right? Just 120 seats. Okay, a very good institute. Okay, one of the best in the terms of ROI. So very difficult to get in this institute, and that's what the toppers fight for, right? But there are several other institutes as well. That Sidnam is also good. Wellinger is also a decent institute. Cutoff goes around 99.9 percentile for outside Maharashtra candidates. Then SIES Mumbai, then Pumba. Now, after this, the colleges like these are like you will call them tier 2 colleges, right? So, JBMS, Sydenham, Wellinger, you can call them tier 1, right? And these are like tier 2 colleges, but yes, still decent institutes. If you are in Maharashtra, then you have even lower cutoffs for this, right? Then you have Mumbai, Pune, Xavier's Mumbai, Chetna Mumbai, MET, and then you have IES Mumbai. So these are some colleges that you can target through this, right? So there are several other institutes on the list. On their side, they have that list of all the institutes. These are some of the top institutes that you can get through this examination. Okay. All right. So that was the information about the examination, and like we have batches starting for CAT 2022. So if you are preparing for MBA entrance examination this year and the coming year, and then this season, so you can enroll with us. All right, so this was about this Maharashtra CT. So you can expect notification like, see, it's all anticipation, right? Last year people were anticipating that it might be some June, July, but like it stretched up to September. So my call is somewhere in May, June. You can expect the examination. May let last by June if everything goes fine, right? That should be the time horizon for this examination, and maybe uh, notification somewhere in mid March. Okay. All right, so that's all for this session. Thanks for attending this video. Have a great day ahead, and goodbye.